some ETH. That would be nice if we did. And we don't have endless USDC as we've seen through our runway.
Already.
Great question, Tyler. So this is a zero cost proposition here because those costs have already been managed or paid out. So in terms of the audits, I paid part of that, or I paid for one of the audits from the tokenomics work stream. We had some USDC left over from actually going all the way back from the first term back in Q1, just because we haven't spent much. So paid out on that. Engineering paid a portion for the other audit, and then upon completion of the contract, we'll actually have to pay a 25,000 USDC bounty that will also come from the existing tokenomics USDC stack. So no additional impact on the treasury.
Awesome. And then another question, I guess, while I'm got you up here too. It sounds like there's a whole bunch of different control variables in this in terms of how you guys add new assets, how you guys adjust the caps on all of these things, how we measure health and success. Are these all things that are going to be shoehorned into like a regular TMDC meeting? Do you plan any sort of special coverage or I don't know, database or things like that for tracking and communication with the greater DAO about this?
Yeah, so those things are intentionally left undefined because we really can't define any sort of strategic or parameter elements in that. So giving basically the TMDC the ability to deliberate on this, and of course all those deliberations will be transparent and voted on by the TMDC. There is a case where as yieldies get more complex, there's more assets and more going on, that might actually be too much workload for the TMDC. At that point, I think there could be a case to be made for having like a yieldy committee at some point. But for now, the overhead for the TMDC should be doable, and that will all be communicated and deliberated on in a transparent fashion.
Awesome. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your guys' TMDC calls too. Always the big brain stuff going on over there.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see you a little bit later with another proposal.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.
Up next, we've got SCP-87. I know Diggy took off the rest of the night with a headache, so I believe Gray Machine's going to join me up here to chat about their renewal. Let me give an invite real quick.
Hello.
Hey, GM. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Tell us about your guys' new renewal.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the confidence people are voting in us. 100% for, so that's always good. The proposal basically is funding the product and creative services group through the end of the year. Trusting us with designing and shepherding product ideas, turning ideas into concrete steps that can be pushed through and deployed into real usable software that turns into features, turns into revenue. And a lot of what I do is a lot of the design of product launches and stuff like that. So as I'll be taking on some more product spec work as well, but yeah, the group is handles basically taking ideas, like somebody says, I want a yieldy token, right? Like, how do we break that into steps? How do we break it into concrete things that we can do? How do customers interact with it? All that kind of stuff. The user experience. What does the interface look like? How does it behave? What are the expectations? All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we'll be doing that for another 6 months, and we very much appreciate the support. And all of the stuff that is on the roadmap is transparent on the Notion document of the roadmap. It's actually right in the proposal itself. And all the goals are also nicely outlined by Diggy. And we probably, and I neglect to do this, but probably we all should give Diggy much props as well, because this is a lot of work outlining all this stuff. turning it into concrete goals and keeping this roadmap up to date because there's so many moving parts. But yeah, I don't think there's nothing new. It's just product shepherding, product visualization, product design, experience, all that kind of stuff of turning ideas into usable software. That's what we'll be doing.
Yeah, I'd just add that it looks like you guys already hit soft quorum, so it hasn't had a full pass yet, but it would probably take an act of extreme voting power to change the current course.
I shouldn't speak too quickly, but yeah, I mean, quorum is at 5.1 out of 4, so I guess that is soft quorum. So
yep, you're at soft now, which would pass if no other actions or votes were to take place. But so great to see that vote of confidence there, and I would also add to the appreciation for Diggy. She's on the other side of the globe in a different time zone from us right now, and is sometimes staying up super late in the middle of the night to meet all of our needs. So thanks for organizing everything that you do. It's product, Diggy, and I hope that this is a nice vote of confidence for you.
So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Grey Machine, for hopping up here. And I guess I'd also echo you guys do great office hours, and I'm pretty sure you guys did a little bit of a deep dive into some of this stuff as well as what you guys have been up to just previous to this. So if you guys haven't joined those office hours, highly recommend doing them bi-weekly here on the stage.
Don't be like me, you show up 15 minutes late to the office hours too.
Oh, it was great. It was great. We were super happy to still have you. Cool. Well, thank you, Grey Machine and the Product and Creative Services Workstream. We got just a little under a day left on that one, so if you'd still like to vote, please plug in your wallets and put your Fox to vote. Last one I have up here is an active proposals is SCP-88, the ShapeShift integration to staking rewards. It doesn't look like I have one screen, please, in the audience. Maybe I could have someone from marketing growth come up if they'd like to, but I'm also happy to just kind of chat. There's been an AMA. This is something that was originally proposed, I probably want to say in the early 20s of our governance calls. And it's gone through a whole bunch of negotiations and communications with different work stream leaders and contributors here to figure out the best fit. But basically, it's an integration with stakingrewards.com, where we would get all of our Fox staking functionality available to all of their users there, and they've got some really great SEO. And it's kind of just a nice new way for us to gain exposure for all of the staking and vault things that we've got going on with Fox token. So, and Foxy. Right now we're at 1.3 mil for votes, so we've still got a couple days on this one, but I don't think we've hit soft quorum yet. So if you have not voted for this one yet, and you're so inclined, please plug in your wallet and check it out. And I know that the recorded meetings channel, if you just type in staking rewards in that search in the Discord, you'll be able to find a video of a full AMA where we go pretty in depth about all of the feature sets and what a ShapeShift integration would look like. This is the new forever slide I've got on my slide deck of ideation and boardroom is coming back. I can't wait until I get to put a big ta-da is back. But in the meantime, we do have a process for vetting and editing and gaining community sentiment for proposals before going straight to boardroom or snapshot. So first, things need to be posted in the forum. There's an amount of time that they have to be publicly available for comment. And then they can move to ideation, which right now we are still using the forum to just kind of create a new post, put it in a template, add a poll, and then after that's been through the allotted amount of time, we can go into an actual proposal boardroom. We do have a new ideation post, and that's from our very own GK. GMGK, you snuck up behind me. I didn't see you there.
I'm not really here? Is that right?
Well, you're everywhere, GK.
So I put a post for the renewal. sometime, I think is it 3 days that for ideation? Somebody pushed me on stage. I didn't know who it was. I think I can push it to the next step. I had so far all yeses for what I have posted already. It's correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler. Is it 3 days? Is the ideation?
I think
That's right.
I'd have to look. Maybe someone can hop in the stage chant and
So it's going to be the
confirm.
weekend, so it doesn't matter too much, but I would like to.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. All right, just let me know about that.
I think it's 5 days for ideation, isn't it? Or did I
Okay.
make that up?
Yeah.
I don't
There's
remember.
one's a 3, one's a 5. I'm sure we'll get some clarity in the stage
Yeah,
chat.
it's no hurry, so you know, it's whatever. Any question? And it's I think I'm pretty straightforward.
I don't have any questions. I know that you did have a lot of questions in the first ideation draft that got clarified with some polls around numbers and things like that. Seeing a lot of good sentiment and 4 votes for you so far. So looks like the community is behind you here.
Like a plan. Anytime somebody can ask me something, and I'll answer.
Well, thank you so much, GK, for all that you do in the Discord here, and good luck in moving this one after the time of 5 days. And thanks, Willie, for confirming that. 5 days for ideation, 3 days for incubation, and 3 days for official vote. Although we have seen the longer the longer you put a proposal up. Yeah. Well, thanks, GK. I look forward to seeing this maybe up this weekend for voting.
Yeah, it'll be at least Sunday sometime.
All right. Sounds good.
Here.
GM. We've got a couple of new drafts here. One from Kent, one from Toasty, and one from DeFi Cafe. I'll start off with Toasty's. There's been a lot of comments in the forum post already, and to meet the needs of the communication, they've decided to schedule an AMA over the marketing and growth office hours. So on Tuesday next week, there will be a full call dedicated to all of the questions that have been presented and the details around this proposal. So please tune in there and join the AMA to get your questions answered, and we can hopefully get keep that focus there to that call. See if we can get Kent back on stage in DeFi to join me.
Hello again.
Hello, hello. You want to chat about the tokenomics renewal?
Yeah, so this is going to be the next round in or the next phase in tokenomics. The current period ends on the 30th, so it's time for another iteration of it. So what I've done here is really kind of like what I like to do every time, and this will be my third proposal for tokenomics, is just outline basically, how have we performed so far, and then what are the plans moving forward, kind of what's our core mission, and of course in this environment budget is obviously of paramount concern. So with respect to performance, the stated goal last quarter was to accumulate 10 million in stables, and in fact we fell short of that. We currently are more like 4.5 in stables. I explained some reasons for that. And to be frank, I think one reason is we didn't quite meet that goal. I should have been more adamant about accumulating more stables in the face of some resistance about the optics of selling Fox, and also there is some growing community pushback against high Fox emissions, maybe causing the price of Fox to drop. My hunch was always that Fox was going to drop if ETH was going to drop, and drop much worse, because that's how it goes with long tail assets. That's how it's played out. But a primary factor in that shortfall is we were raising about 100,000 USDC per day via our Olympus bonds. Now we're only raising 100,000 per month. So this has been a conscientious decision by the community, and something that we did deliberate on carefully, but there was a lot of opposition to selling more Fox for stables. So this has led to a reduction in our ability to accumulate stables. We also, and this actually follows up on a question that Marley had in the forum after I posted this, is wondering, there's a discrepancy between the revenue dashboard shows about 10 million in USDC and then 3 million in expenses, asking where basically there's a gap of 2.3 million. The vast majority of that is down to was attributed to payments for our RARI loans, namely pool 7 and 79. So in Q2 alone, we being the DAO through TMDC approval paid roughly 1.5 just for those loans for debt service payments. Additionally, the TMDC also approved 100,000 for the VSOC swap the VFox elastic swap strategic allocation, and then we also incurred expenses due to the our unwinding of the one Fox and all those pools. So that explains I think the majority of that. There's also a large portion, John points out in the chat, that was not raised by the TMDC, was allocated to the One Fox Angel Vault when it was live. So yeah, Angel Vault was, I think, probably the source of the rest of those. And again, the nice thing is all of this is on chain. I think it might be good to go back and look at the expenses and maybe we could categorize the loan amounts as expenses, but that would explain the difference. So one big learning point here, I think that we should really kind of hold dear for the next bull market is that loans come with a potential downside. You know, it's easy to take out loans for like payroll or whatever when Fox is at, you know, at 40 or 50 cents and things are kicking ass. But man, you know, when things decline, it can get ugly. The good news is we're safely above our liquidation points on both loans. Those are slightly under 2 cents each on 7 and 79. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at on that. Moving forward, you know, in terms of like where we are now. So this has been, you know, obviously priority number one and probably the topic that's been, you know, most at hand for the DAO in general, or most top of mind, is simply the fact that, you know, we've had to cut our budget. So this is, you know, we have our runway. I maintain this runway projection spreadsheet. You'll find that pinned in the tokenomics public channel. You know, in the spirit of transparency, we want to be very frank and very open about what exactly we have, what we're spending. In response to the figures that I provided starting like you know, a month and a half ago, various workstream leaders have voluntarily proposed reduced budgets. There is no sort of collective collusion amongst leadership to make that happen. These, pardon me, these were all independent decisions made by workstream leaders. Oh, frog in my throat. So you know, that's kind of the thing we'll be watching closely moving forward. There's a lot of ways that we can extend that. The first is by, of course, you know, encouraging people to take boosted Fox and things like that. Also, you know, big props to Darwin for for helping or allowing the tokenomics workstream to achieve one of its primary goals last time, which was the dashboard. I think moving forward, there could be ways to use some of the funds we'll have to incentivize maybe trend analysis and finding, like, you know, cool, you know, different dynamics and sussing out different information in that. I'm getting a little bit long-winded here, so moving on to budget. You know, much like other workstream leaders, I want to be very, very cautious of, you know, that we're not spending too much stablecoin, that we're not impacting our runway and tokenomics. So what I've proposed to do is take the entire workstream leader budget in Fox rather than USDC. Thus, we'll be having no impact on the runway in terms of the salary amount. In terms of getting funds for the type of work I outlined with, like, the dashboard trend analysis, I'm just asking for 13K for the next 6 months. We already have funds in there, and that'll provide us with about 20K through the end of the period. And just to wrap it up, because I think Marley had another great question here, wondering like so what I proposed here is a $14,000 figure for workstream leader salary. Eyeballing other salaries for workstream leaders, this seems to come in a little bit under the average. That was kind of my logic. But again, this is not impacting our USD spend at all. In this environment, what matters is reducing our USDC spend. In terms of like, okay, and I again, you know, this is the beauty of these proposals. Put something out there, and people can say, well, wait a minute, like justify your existence, basically. So Marley, I really appreciate you making me justify my existence. So the question Marley seems to be asking here is, you know, do I spend enough time in this role to justify my existence? Somebody asked me yesterday in the tokenomics call, how many hours do I spend? My answer was, I really don't give a fuck. This is not a typical corporate job. I'm not tracking my hours. I will say most weeks I easily exceed that amount, you know, the typical 40-hour a week amount, because there's so much to do. So in terms of granular stuff I typically work on, you know, this would be monitoring our DeFi positions and developing strategies to make sure we manage risk. Also applying risk management techniques constantly to make sure we don't wind up getting our asses handed to us. One thing I'm very proud of in tokenomics that you see a lot of other people in the crypto space haven't done is apply risk management at every step of the way. So we're not getting blown up like the Celsiuses and you know, the three arrows. One thing I personally have always strove for in this role, and I'll maintain this moving forward, is to always be cautious and conservative. I'm not a degen. I said this from the get-go. Quite the opposite. I don't use DeFi much myself. I like sleeping well at night, but I understand that we can, you know, position ourselves to profit in DeFi. Other things, assisting with Fox Chain, since right now, especially there's such a high overlap with tokenomics. There's a lot of involvement just behind the scenes with, you know, your daily DAO functioning and drama, collaborating with leadership and other, you know, community members. One of the core functions of tokenomics, and something I spend a lot of time on, and this was defined going all the way back to the inception of tokenomics, is providing strategic insight to the TMDC. You know, that's a role I'm not compensated for, but that is one of the core functions of tokenomics. We meet twice a week, you know, and have a good deal of deliberation in between. Lately, of course, a big focus has been on runway projections, and, you know, in this environment of budget cuts, that's been fluctuating, and then finding ways to extend that runway. And of course, deliberating and brainstorming with other workstream members on strategies like Foxy and Yieldies, assisting Lindsay with PR needs. So I go on. I'll shut up because I've been talking for a while now. But ultimately, it's up to you guys to decide whether I have earned this existence. And if you don't think so, certainly vote this proposal down. I love being beholden, or I love the fact that the community can decide what happens, and that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, thanks Marley for the input there, and we'll be moving this to ideation, perhaps with some changes, depending on how this conversation goes. But appreciate the stage, Tyler. Thank you.
Thanks, Kent, and thanks for addressing the questions. All right, next we got a DeFi. DeFi.
GM. Yeah, so I put up this proposal. There's obviously currently not an explicitly defined definition by governance of a workstream leader role. So this is one potential position that could be taken that based on the indicative voting so far is what the majority is. That may change over time. Obviously, there's quite some contention around this definition and what like an alternative could look like, and fully encourage as much discussion on the forum as possible, and critique of both the individual parts of this proposal or the spirit of the proposal, or just hearing an alternative of what an alternative model could look like in practicality. So very early days, this only went up a couple of hours ago. So going to give this plenty of time to kind of bake there before it gets moved forward in any form. So would encourage everyone to check it out though.
Yeah, thanks, DeFi. I did also see that there are a couple of people who had voted no on the poll you connected there, so I would also encourage them to use that forum to communicate out. Maybe we can see if there's things worth changing or an alternate proposal that sounds more suited.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, DeFi. I think that's all we've got for new ideation drafts. And we've got just a couple of new posts left.
It does look like Pastor has his hand up to speak as well, by the way.
Oh, I did not see that. Thanks for saying something. Let me bring Pasta up here. GM Pasta.
Hey, DM. Just a quick comment on DeFi's forum post. So I was one of the few people who voted no. I would like to give some color on my opinions regarding that. I'll keep it brief. So I do think that it's important for us to have some clarity on the language about what a workstream leader's roles and responsibilities are. Currently, there's nothing, and yeah, that's caused quite a bit of contention. The reason that I voted no on this specifically is, while I do think that it's important for us to have a default set of roles and responsibilities in place, I don't think that this model is well suited to all work streams. And I think we should allow individual work streams the flexibility to choose how they want to operate internally, how they want to resolve work stream specific matters, how they want to delegate work stream leader responsibilities, and so on. As one example, it's useful for some work streams to have more than one work stream leader. I can see why that would be the case, so long as it's capital efficient to do so. I don't see any problem with there being more than one work stream leader. It is definitely in the best interest to allow unilateral authority for hiring, firing, and budgetary decisions to workstream leaders under some models. In Eric's recent blog post about DAOs and DAO governance, he gave the example of a marketing workstream leader that chooses to outsource all of the marketing responsibilities to an independent agency. Under that model, it's clearly advantageous for the workstream leader to have these authorities. Under the engineering, in the case of the engineering workstream, however, it's not clear that that's the case. And as it stands, the majority consensus in the engineering workstream is against the unilateral delegation of authority to the workstream leader. So I think that what we should do is come up with a default set of roles and responsibilities that can be superseded by a workstream charter. If that's this one, I don't see that being a problem, so long that this is only the default and a workstream charter supersedes this. But in that case, what I would also take issue with is the clause specifying that this goes into effect immediately should the proposal be voted in. I think that should apply to all new work streams and all work streams on renewal going forward. So that would give the current engineering work stream time to draft a charter delegating how it is that the work stream decides it might best operate. And for any new work stream, in absence of such a charter, this is the default set of agreements that would be made between the work stream participants, the leader, and the DAO.
I think those are pretty fair points. Pasta, is there any way we could also get those into the forum for posterity as well? I think that that might be some ways we can get. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, maybe there's some
continue the discussion.
Sweet. Yeah. I know that DeFi had posted there that he was definitely open for edits and suggestions there. So hopefully we can put some minds together and get this to the right place for the community.
Yeah, hopefully. That sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, Pasta. Thanks for hopping up and providing context there from the engineering perspective. Gonna move back to where we were with new posts. So these are posts that don't necessarily have to do with any sort of proposals, but are just kind of acknowledgements, communications to the rest of the community. And we have one from Never Was and one from Crypto Meg. Send out some invites if you guys can't hop up. Oh, beat me to it. GM.
Hey, Never Was. My babysitter is supposed to be leaving right now. So if you don't mind me going first so I can relieve her in just a little bit.
No, I was going to tell you to go first anyways. Go ahead, Meg.
Thank you. I usually wouldn't mind, but I only have so much time at this time of night. All right, so just jumping in, I posted our customer support workstream budget updates. So kind of riding off of the conversation we just had, as a workstream leader, some decisions that I made rolling into this proposal, especially with a lot of changes that had happened along the products that we were servicing as a customer support team. I had to start thinking about, okay, with Portis not being a product that we're supporting anymore, KeepKey Retail not being a product we support anymore, and this transition into app.shapeshift, and just other product changes that are happening right now, we saw a downtrend in tickets consistently over the course of about 8 weeks. So at that point, we started signaling to the team that we'll likely be contracting. And of course, that's what we ended up having to do. And this rode right alongside the bear market and all of the overall budget conversations happening around the DAO. So staff reduction wise, we dropped 3 agents. They were offboarded earlier this week, and 1 manager because we didn't need 2 managers because our team is much smaller at this point. We actually moved him down to an agent role just because, him and I talked it over for a long time. He was okay with the big salary cut and role change. And since he was okay with it, I really loved the idea of being able to keep him in hopes that we can re-expand the team in the next couple of months, and I will need his expertise. So that was kind of the strategy behind that. So those staff cuts amounted to about 6,400. I'll try not to read directly off of this. You guys can just hit up the forum and see. Actually, let me post this in the chat really quick. You guys can see all these numbers. I had screwed up the numbers at first whenever I was talking to the leadership team yesterday, and then I found where I was missing. I'm still missing $1,500 in my equation here, but I have it in my doc. I just haven't found the missing $1,500 that also got cut. But the other cuts mainly came from benefits cuts. So everyone that was on the leadership team was enjoying benefits to help supplement healthcare costs, as well as fees and things like that with testing, helping out with trainings, and then of course during payroll, having like a little cushion for all the fees, especially earlier this year. I know we all felt that. So we did a 40% decrease in benefits for all the individuals on the leadership team. And then there were some salary cuts for support leaders as well. And then I had originally allocated a bonus fund in my original proposal, and I just went ahead and cut that out at this point in time. The team has shrunk quite a bit. I did keep in our performance bonus, which is a monthly $50 bonus for the top performing agent. It's $50. It's a great incentive. It really kind of builds morale. We built the whole performance and quality assurance system from the ground up, and I just wanted to hang on to that small little bit. And then there was some miscellaneous cost savings due to just downsizing the team, like less licenses for Zendesk, less cost across the board for Liberty Virtual Assistants, which is the company that we get a lot of our agents from in terms of like where they're headhunted from. So that commission cost went down significantly. So our original proposal funding request was $45,600, and now we have it down to $28,500 per month. So it's about a 38% overall decrease from the original request. My goal as a leader is to continue monitoring these needs. I think it's just going to be like a month-to-month thing right now as we continue to watch how the markets move and how we decide to move as a DAO with our product roadmap in the coming months. So pretty much every month we'll be revisiting this proposal's budget. And in early August will be the next time we do that. And that's before I step away for maternity leave, which will be happening towards the end of August. And just a reminder, our proposal is scheduled to expire December 31st. There's the link to our original proposal right here as well. And then I gave some shout outs. I don't know if they're out there today. I don't, probably not, because it is 5:50 a.m. in the Philippines right now. But CJ, Ace, and Fox Rain were the ones that left the team this week, or I should say, were let go from the team this week. They were all 3 fantastic team members. It was a really tough call, but at the end of the day, you know, we were kind of prepping everyone that this might happen this year. So everyone handled it with grace, said they wanted to remain a part of the community. So I think that'll, you know, it was uplifting news how gracefully they handled the conversations, and that they were also willing and, you know, really wanted to continue being a part of the DAO. So I definitely wish them all the best. And cheers to everybody. You know, the bear markets suck, but we'll get through it. I'm confident that all of these emerging technologies happening around us are going to overshadow this BS that's happening in the traditional financial system right now. Thanks.
Thanks, Meg. And looks like we got a couple of minutes for Number Was as well with your post.
Yep, no problem. Try to make it quick. Basically, just want to kind of go over the post. I know it was a lot for people to read. I don't know how many people had an opportunity, but so basically, it's just discussing my understanding, and desire, and obviously the need to ensure expenses don't exceed available assets. And doing so by identifying budgetary excess. And my point stating that is just a piece of a larger pie within fiscal responsibility. The tenor of this general post was to share the concepts of how and when reactionary policy or dictated need can look and feel beneficial, but can have many undesirable lingering effects. So this mindset of quick, decisive, reactionary action is needed or else, versus defining and understanding the real impacts to those actions. And this understanding that is not just limited to in work stream silos, but through a broader lens as an organization and accounting for multiple periods of time, i.e. short, medium, and long term. So, you know, I know there's a lot of discussion about our treasury, our road, our runway, and stuff like that. That those are great discussions, but I think that, you know, this has larger impact than what these immediate changes bring in people's eyes of just saying, okay, we can just do this, and boom, we're done. I'm not saying anyone is doing that, but I'm just basically pointing out as a cautionary tale for that. I have more, but I know we're getting tight on time. I really don't want to hog that time up. And I know if there's any questions that people want to reply to the post, if they have difference of opinions or any ideas or anything like that, please feel free. But I will say one other aspect of this brings me back to like conversations that I've had and others have had in the past about reflections on what the product of the DAO is, you know, what the product or what the products of the DAO are and what that can mean for the community as well as DAO representation. I have continuously stated my thoughts that the DAO is seen as one of these products. I also see the Fox token as a possible product. I also see obviously the app or the platform as a product. Now with the new emergence of Yieldies, I can see those as a new primitive product as well as Fox Chain. So I do feel that there are a lot of different moving pieces to this, and see that, you know, our reactions in a down market or our reactions to immediate concerns have longer lasting impacts, not only to these other things that I would consider products, but also to the community as a whole, organization, and its ability to grow, its ability to effectively meet tasks and so forth. That is not to say that obsolescence, as I stated in the post, not something that's very real. I do see that and I do understand that, and definitely there are plenty of reasons that that could be justification for certain things. But yeah, I guess I can follow up in the post on some of the other comments that I have regarding some of the stuff, but I'll leave it at that and let people if they choose to ask questions.
I want to just say thanks, Never Was, one, for your brevity. You know, we got through that pretty quickly. But two, also, I appreciate you just kind of bringing these kind of topics to the forum and showing that even though we do have a TDMC that is kind of tasked with doing a lot of these decisions and kind of projecting these metrics, any member of this DAO, any community member here is allowed to be asking these questions, is allowed to be presenting solutions, is allowed to be helping us figure out the best way for us to navigate through successfully. So I definitely appreciate your insight and opinions, and thank you for presenting them in the forum too, so people can build off of it. I know PTT posted in there some potential desire for maybe like a budget oversight committee or something like that, and maybe we're at the point of fiscal responsibility that we need to be practicing something that takes form in a committee like that, or maybe some better practices on individual work streams. But I definitely appreciate that you're keeping it front of mind in ways that we can talk about it that aren't just the roadmap and the burn.
No problem. No problem, Tyler. Yeah, I know that there wasn't much time to ask Meg any questions. I know she had to go, but I feel bad that she didn't get the opportunity to open the floor up for questions as well.
I think she was okay with running so she could catch her babysitter too. So I know that I guess I'll take that sentiment to point everyone over to the forum for both of those posts. If you'd like any more details or questions to be answered on Meg's post, what new changes are happening with their budget, or you'd like to continue the conversation with Never Was and a few of the other contributors that are talking about potential solutions, options, action items that we can do for continuing to be responsible with our finances, our USDC, our stable spend. So please join the conversation there. All right, thank you, Never Was. Thanks, Meg. I got a slide for Q&A. Meg's still here, but she's fighting with her keyboard. Vinny's taken over. If it doesn't look like we've got any Q&A, let's look some eyes out for some raised hands. Sorry I missed your hand raising earlier, Pasta Ghost. I'll make sure to keep keen eyes for that. Doesn't look like it. All right, folks. Well, we snuck in just under an hour today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all next week, and we got a whole bunch of community calls on the calendar, so check out the event calendar and join us on the stage. Make it a good GM.